The movie begins in a quaint town in Spain, where a man named Vicente enters a grocery store and slyly conceals several bottles inside his coat. Outside, his son Ian employs his unique ability to create illusions, ensuring the store clerk remains oblivious to the theft. After making a minor purchase, Vicente exits and Ian maintains the illusion as his father searches for their truck. However, Ian's concentration breaks when a group of girls mocks him, calling him a freak, which disrupts his illusion. Inside, the clerk notices the missing bottles and, armed with a hammer, goes after Vicente. In a frantic effort to halt her advance, Ian summons an illusion of wielding a gun. Yet this does little to dissuade the clerk. Overwhelmed by panic, Ian unintentionally inflicts harm upon her. As she collapses, Ian experiences a flood of her memories, and police sirens sound in the distance. Vicente hastily pulls Ian into the truck, and they flee. When the police arrive, they find the clerk unharmed. As they speed away, the police give chase. Ian uses his powers to misdirect the police, reflecting his illusion onto their cars and making them believe the truck took another route. Vicente reprimands it for this. Eventually, the illusion fades, and the police catch up, reigniting the pursuit. Ian and Vicente argue, with Ian unable to grasp why they must stay under the radar when his abilities could easily make them wealthy. Vicente refuses to yield, fearing it would draw their attention. Yet he remains tight-lipped when Ian inquires about who they are. Upon reaching the beach, Ian conjures a more elaborate illusion, causing the policeman to perceive a hailstorm. The officer watches in horror as the hail appears to damage his car, and a powerful gust seemingly flips it over, dragging it to a gas station. It is only then that the officer realizes everything is fine. Security cameras captured this entire episode and quickly came to the attention of the enigmatic Dr. Adriana. The following morning, they find the pair in their hidden abode, an abandoned ship. Ian is haunted by a dream of his deceased mother singing to him as a baby, which ends abruptly with her scream, jolting him awake. Vicente prepares a special birthday breakfast for Ian, presenting him with a photograph of his mother on the day he first exhibited his powers. Eager for a typical teenage birthday experience, Ian wishes to visit the arcade, but Vicente strictly forbids it. Angered, Ian retreats to his room to vent his frustration on a training dummy. His anger is unabated, and he eventually sneaks out through the window. Meanwhile, in town, the cop recounts his illusion of the hailstorm to a bartender, a story overheard by the perceiver, who then uses his abilities to incapacitate the cop. As evening falls, a specialized team, led by Adriana, covertly boards the ship while Vicente is distracted by the television. Adriana greets Vicente like an old acquaintance, revealing her affiliation with the agency. She demands information about Ian, resorting to violence against Vicente for answers. Just then, they receive an update on Ian's whereabouts from other agents. Simultaneously, Ian is at the arcade, where the perceiver and two agents soon find him. The perceiver quickly dispatches one agent behind a curtain and impersonates his voice over the radio to mislead Adriana into believing there is a perceiver in the vicinity. Adriana immediately redirects her agents to focus on this new threat. As the perceiver continues his search for Ian, who is stealthily concealed behind a table, another agent from the agency begins shooting at him. Unfazed, the perceiver, who is an illusion, casually strolls away and materializes behind the agent. The deceived agent chases after the illusory perceiver. At the same time, the real one raises his hand to deceive Ian. However, an agency agent abruptly places a helmet on the perceiver, blocking his abilities. In response, the perceiver forcefully shoves the agent away and engages in combat in a dimly lit room. He hurls the agent through a wall and is encircled by an entire team. Despite being outnumbered, he combats them effortlessly, paying no attention to the nearby VR players. After incapacitating all the agents, the perceiver removes the helmet and resumes his search for Ian. Meanwhile, Ian is found by Esther and another agent who escort him outside. Awaiting Ian, Adriana is in a van. She informs him of others like him and reveals their capture of Vicente, persuading Ian to join them. However, Ian is quickly restrained inside the van and fitted with a helmet. They also draw his blood for sampling. By the time the perceiver exited the building, the van had departed. He then walks down the street, conjuring an illusion of a baby stroller, abruptly halting a truck, causing a collision. The van's driver contemplates stopping, but Adriana, revealing that the truck was also an illusion, instructs him to continue driving. Shortly after that, Ian regains consciousness in the agency's facility, where Adriana unveils their history. The agency conflicts with the Conscience, a faction comprising individuals with abilities akin to Ian's. This group has manipulated influential figures for years, rendering political outcomes irrelevant. The agency's mission is to thwart them and restore true democracy. Adriana informs Ian that the perceiver will either recruit him or eliminate him. She suggests Ian collaborate with her instead. Her interest lies in the formula in Ian's blood, which could neutralize the enemy's powers. Adriana then inquires about Ian's ability to project illusions, particularly of people. Ian asserts that replicating a person is unfeasible, but Adriana disagrees. She challenges him with a test, which Ian finds daunting. Adriana elucidates that his powers are emotion-driven. Upon presenting a photo of his mother and invoking his troubled childhood, Ian successfully creates the illusion Adriana sought. They are on a vast beach with an irritating fly buzzing around her. Adriana next requests Ian to return them to reality, but maintain the fly in a loop, a term they use for permanent illusions. Ian, however, dissolves the illusion and insists on meeting his father. Adriana leads Ian to Vicente, who cautions Ian against the agency's experimental intentions. Adriana counters by suggesting Ian delve into Vicente's memories, unveiling his second power. Ian explores Vicente's past and discovers him abducting baby Ian during a diversion at the agency. Adriana had attempted to intercept, but Vicente overpowered the guards and escaped with Ian. Back in the present, Vicente loses consciousness as Ian releases him, leaving Ian distraught upon learning Vicente is not his biological father. Adriana confirms this but hints at the possibility of his mother being alive. Afterward, Adriana presents the blood work to the American, who inquires about Ian's source of abilities. Adriana reveals that he inherited them from his parents, previously thought impossible, since perceivers were believed to be infertile. Ian is the inaugural naturally born perceiver. The American instructs Adriana to procure the formula and eliminate Ian. Still, she declines, emphasizing Ian's potential to unlock a third power and serve as their sole protection against the mule. Yet, the American dismisses the mule as a mere legend. Later, a physician reviews Ian's medical data, smirking upon noticing his neuron factor at 204%. Elsewhere, Esther confronts Ian in his chamber, labeling him merely an experimental subject, and suggests they flee. As they descend, they are swiftly encircled by guards, whom Esther combats using a baton, a taser, and remarkable prowess. She incapacitates all the agents within minutes, and the pair attempts to exit. But Ian insists on rescuing Vicente too, believing his memories hold the answers he seeks. While absconding with Vicente and searching for a vehicle, Adriana realizes the breakout and activates the alarm. The agents rush outside, shooting as Ian speeds away, debating with Vicente about his deceptions. Back in the lab, the earlier doctor seizes a firearm and eliminates everyone present, then scrutinizes the surveillance footage, revealing his identity as the perceiver. Escaping, Ian manipulates his powers, causing the guards to misfire. Their vehicle careens off the road on a mountainous route due to Ian's reckless driving. Shortly after, the perceiver arrives, and Ian deceives him into overlooking their presence, but the perceiver departs with a grin. Subsequently, the trio locates a motel for refuge. The following day, Ian and Esther spend time atop the roof before discovering Vicente unconscious from drinking. Still seeking truth, Ian delves into his father's psyche again. In the vision, he observes Adriana with a file marked Patient Kamensky, soon to be moved to Poland, instructing a van driver about an imminent injection. Peering further, Ian spots a masked individual with 3 missing digits, a sight that disrupts his mental link. Ian then visits a bank, presenting a mere scrap of paper but using an illusion to make it appear as a check. The teller, deceived, hands over the money. Exciting, as the teller realizes the ruse and alerts security. Ian and Esther narrowly escape. Esther playfully scatters the cash around the room at the motel before showering, while Ian frets over Vicente's absence. He hears a vehicle outside and cautions Esther to stay concealed, preparing another illusion. The perceiver enters, finding an empty room, but quickly discerns reality by revealing a mirror, immune to the illusion. Ian and the perceiver clash amidst fluctuating illusions. Ian attempts to use Esther's taser and a chair, but to no avail. The battle continues until a perceiver forces Ian against a wall, and, after a glance towards the bathroom, probes Ian's memories. It's revealed that Ian sought funds for a journey to Poland to locate the scientist behind the experiment. Ian loses consciousness when the perceiver releases him, who then departs. Later, Ian awakens from a dream about his mother, confronted by Vicente, who reprimands him for the bank heist. Now a major news story. Ian blames Vicente's dishonesty for the situation and persists in addressing him by name rather than dad. A disagreement arises, and Vicente presents Ian with a choice. He can either continue on a path that will only cause him suffering or depart with Vicente. Ian opts to travel to Poland alone. Meanwhile, Adriana and the American monitor the serial numbers on the money Ian pilfered and discover he's purchased train tickets. Later, Ian and Esther reach Poland and immediately start looking for the laboratory. They encounter agents waiting for them, but the perceiver swiftly eliminates them with a few shots. Upon locating the lab, which is a dilapidated building, Ian recognizes the room from his dreams. He feels it should be larger, so he starts knocking on the walls until a hollow sound is heard. He breaks through the wall and uncovers a secret room filled with cabinets and papers. A notebook labeled Project Awareness contains a photo of his mother, prompting memories of their time together. Esther reads the back of the photo, revealing that the scientist behind the experiments is Ian's grandfather, who experimented on his daughter. Meanwhile, Vicente returns to his ship, only to be confronted by Adriana, who urges him to quit drinking and become a responsible father. Back with Ian, he is shocked to find that Esther has allowed the perceiver inside, claiming it's to help Ian find answers. Ian, in denial, draws a gun, but the perceiver, aware it's an illusion, walks right through it. Multiple illusions of Ian surround the perceiver, but he quickly realizes they are unreal. Esther points out the real Ian. The perceiver confronts the real Ian with his gun and reveals a startling truth. He is Ian's biological father. During the Cold War, a scientist developed a serum, injecting it into volunteers, including his daughter and the perceiver, granting them extraordinary abilities and turning them into spies skilled in mental manipulation. Post-war, the government decided to eliminate them, fearing their allegiance might shift. Just as they were losing hope, the mule, the strongest and last of the perceivers, appeared. When they attempted to kill him, he disclosed his third power, mind control, which he used to make enemies turn on themselves. The mule then gathered the remaining perceivers, forming the Conscience. This group learned to conceal their powers and live ordinary lives. Nicknamed the Mule due to his sterility, a common trait among perceivers, Ian's conception was unexpected since his mother and the perceiver hadn't taken precautions. Ian is the only naturally born perceiver. At this juncture, agents storm the building. The perceiver hears them and instructs Esther to escort Ian to his Madrid residence. As they escape via the stairs, the perceiver combats the agents, first by shooting, then using spider illusions to distract and dispose of them more efficiently. However, two agents surprise him and subdue him with a helmet. Esther and Ian also encounter agents, but Esther swiftly overpowers them, even turning their weapons against them. They then flee to the roof, where Esther executes a daring jump and lands perfectly. Ian, though hesitant, evades further agents by sliding down a tunnel and escaping with Esther. Subsequently, the perceiver is detained in the agency's laboratory. After a robot collects his blood sample, it activates a device to examine his physiology, causing immense agony. The American orders Adriana to halt the procedure to preserve him for their purposes, but Adriana initially disregards the command. The perceiver's suffering eventually compels Adriana to cease the experiment. Shortly after, a scientist informs Adriana that the formula in the perceiver's system is too diluted to be extracted. Adriana relays this to the American, indicating Ian is now their sole hope. When the perceiver recovers, he requests water, which a robot delivers. Seizing this opportunity, the perceiver uses his third power through the robot's camera, taking control of the technician's mind, leading him to activate the robot's weapons, eliminating all observers and freeing the perceiver. In Madrid, Esther and Ian arrive at the perceiver's home, greeted by the housekeeper with astonishing news. Ian's mother is alive, but catatonic due to the experiments. As Ian approaches her, the perceiver arrives, explaining that a fragment of her consciousness remains. Ian enters her mind, meeting her in her memories, which triggers physical reactions in her real body. The perceiver joins them, showing Ian the horrific torture his mother endured. Before her capture, she implanted a memory in Ian, symbolized by toys containing the formula. The perceiver seeks the formula to create new beings with abilities. Still, an invisible barrier prevents him from reaching the toys. Ian realizes his mother wishes to keep the formula hidden. The perceiver's attempts to breach the barrier cause her great pain, forcibly ejecting everyone from her mind. In reality, Ian sings a childhood song to his mother before she dies. Suddenly, agents swarm the house. Overwhelmed by grief, Ian awakens his third power, using it to hinder the agents swiftly. He then hunts down more agents, compelling them to eliminate each other. Indifferent to the carnage and Esther's concerns, the operatives become frightened and exit to meet up with Adriana. Ian pursues them, causing them to kneel, ready to turn their guns on themselves. Suddenly, Vicente appears, informing Ian that the perceiver is deceiving him and that he shouldn't be the cause of a slaughter he'll regret later. The perceiver tosses a firearm, urging Ian to eliminate Vicente. Still, Ian's only desire is revenge against his organization. Vicente confronts the perceiver about claiming to be Ian's father despite never raising him, leading to the perceiver shooting Vicente. This action startles Ian, making him lose his grip on the agents. He rushes to Vicente's side while the perceiver escapes with Esther. With his remaining strength, Vicente implores Ian to delve into his mind, despite knowing it's fatal. The flashback reveals that Ian's mother secretly requested Vicente to take Ian to ensure his safety. Consequently, Ian apologizes to Vicente, addressing him as Dad once more. They share a tender embrace and relive a cherished memory of fishing together before Vicente succumbs to his injuries and passes away. After parting with his father, Ian seizes the gun, He sets out to confront the perceiver, who is concealed at a gathering in a nearby building. Guided by Esther's voice, Ian employs his abilities to force the attendees to the ground, exposing the perceiver, who is threatening Esther with a gun. A mental duel erupts between Ian and the perceiver over firearm control. However, Ian's mastery over his powers is still incomplete, allowing the perceiver to regain the upper hand. As the perceiver manipulates the crowd to assault Ian, he valiantly defends himself, using a tray as a shield, yet continually finds himself overwhelmed. However, his desperate situation unlocks a third ability, enabling him to fend off his attackers more easily, utilizing bottles as weapons. Despite this, the perceiver relentlessly sends more assailants, with the final one nearly strangling Ian to death. Fortuitously, Adriana arrives just in time to eliminate the threat with a precise shot. Subsequently, Ian pleads with the perceiver to spare Esther. Still, Adriana reveals a startling truth. There's no one else present, indicating that the perceiver had implanted a mental loop in Ian's mind. As Ian sifts through his memories, he discovers that he was performing the actions he believed Esther was doing. The loop implanted during their first encounter in the arcade. Overwhelmed by betrayal, Ian tears, but Esther reassures him of her genuine feelings. In a state of panic, Ian fires at Esther, but the bullet passes through her and fatally wounds the perceiver instead. Esther rushes to Ian, and they embrace. Later, Ian ensures his mother and Vicente receive proper burials in a cemetery, which Adriana also visits. She then urges Ian to pick a side, needing the formula desperately. Still, Ian rejects joining the conflict and departs with Esther to begin anew. As they enter the truck and share their first kiss, Ian notices Adriana conversing with the American, who is absent from the truck's mirror reflection, hinting that she too is under the influence of a mental loop.